Hey guys, this is a video on F123 tire drop-off phases. So this video it's good for commentators and it's good for racers about seeing kind of what the gap is between different tire strategies and how the tires degrade over time. So right away we're going to look at this graph right here. This graph is plotting grip percentage for all 5 tires, C1 through C5, C5 being the softest and starting with the most grip. And this is plotting that grip as the tires wear, so versus tire percentage. Some key things to look at here is that the softer the tire, if you're on C3 to C5, your tire deg is going to be higher. So you're going to be noticing a greater loss of pace if you're on if the track is using softer tires. Another thing is you look at the C1 tire. It's closer. The difference between them is closer than any other tires. So this is why at a C1 to C3 track, the hards are going to be a better tire than usual. Another thing to look at is that at 56% wear, all tires perform equally. And then as the tires continue to drop off, the C5 or the softer tires get punished more. So going past 56% wear at a softer tire track is worse, and you'll notice a greater loss in pace. Another thing to look at is that the drop-off phases. Some people talk about a singular drop-off point, but it's not really the case. So between 6 and 13%, you see a greater decrease in grip as the tires wear. So a more downward slope is what I'm calling a drop-off phase. So between 6 and 13, that's one. Usually by the first lap or two, you're at the 6%. The steeper the slope of the drop-off phase is between 19 and 25%. This is kind of the main drop-off phase that everyone talks about. Some people will say, oh, the drop-off point's at 25. Oh, it's at 19 or 20. But between this 19 and 25%, each lap usually take a couple laps to get through this, is where you're going to see a greater loss in grip and a greater loss in time, race time. So usually kind of around that 19-20%, you could let the driver know, or if you are the driver, just be aware that you're going to start losing grip quickly and that you can make a mistake or just be slower. So thinking about these curves and how they're used, you could compare a starting on softs versus starting on hards. This is done at Brazil. It doesn't really matter the track. It's a C2 to C4 track. It's kind of the typical, it's kind of the average of what you see. So right here, applying lap number versus time difference. So this time difference is done on a per lap basis. So, and of course, there's a process that we do that converts the grip percentage to a time delta. That's something that I won't show here, but we're converting these to a time delta. So like lap 0, when you're both at 0% wear, that's when the softs will have the greatest advantage. And then as tires wear, that advantage goes away because the softs are wearing faster than the hards. But kind of at this lap 6, the softs are at 23%. So they're in that drop-off phase. And you'll start to see that at this point, the hards become faster. And the hards become faster for 6, 7, 8, 9 lap numbers. But then you'll actually see the softs will then become faster. Here the hards were faster. Now the softs are faster again. That's because the hards have hit drop-off. So kind of a thing to note is that if you're on a softer tire, this could be the softs versus hards, could be mediums versus hards. Your pace advantage is all in the beginning. When you hit drop-off, if you're on the softer tire, yeah, there's going to be some laps where you're slower than that harder tire. But then the pace advantage is going to get pretty similar as these laps. You'll be a point where, hey, you actually have a few tenths advantage, and then it'll eventually go back to they have a few tenths advantage. So as a commentator, it's important to know that yes, the softs are going to hit drop off, but then that pace is going to be pretty level over the next few laps. You're not going to see a huge degrading of the softs keep getting slower. It's going to be, hey, the pace is getting similar. That's about it. Another thing you can look at is a undercut. Also, this is done with wears from Brazil, But again, that's not super important. It really all tracks will look similar to this. This is looking at a 3-lap medium undercut time difference. So again, we took new tires, and then we took mediums that were 3 laps old, and we ran out per lap. What's that time difference in grip? Well, what's that grip difference first, and then we convert that to a time difference. So here you'll see starting, there's a 3/10 advantage to these newer mediums, and then that it actually increases, as the mediums that were used to undercut, that 3 laps older mediums start to wear, but kind of goes up and down. It goes between 3/10 and 8/10 at one point. This is when the older mediums with the undercut mediums first hit drop off, and then your mediums are still on before that drop off phase is where you'll have the greatest advantage. But then you'll notice, as the newer medium tires go through that drop off phase, that advantage drops significantly down to under 2/10 a second. So at this point here, lap 9, the mediums are at 26% wear. The older mediums are at 35% wear. At this point, both tires are past that key drop-off phase, and that advantage really stays the same. So you're looking at under 2/10, for the remaining laps of the stint. So it's just kind of it's one thing to note that if you are overcutting, that your advantage is going to be in these first laps before you hit that main drop-off phase. Your time to catch up is here. You'll only have a slight advantage over the person who undercutted, after you've gone through that drop-off phase. So hopefully that was useful. A few tips for if you're racing or if you're commentating and kind of noticing how the tires are wearing and kind of what your advantage is at different points. Thank you very much for watching. See ya. Bye.